Yeah. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are live on Cheeky Tunes Friday, happy hour. Different times, different types of happy hour. um, Thank you, Matt.
No worries.
So, guys, that was Matt Omo, and he is the founder of Omo Sound Journeys. Um, Matt, hi.
Hello.
Did you want to tell us a little bit about your journey
Well,
with
how long is
sound?
this show? Jesus. Um,
Yeah, right.
just throw a blanket question out. Yeah, no, I'm used to it. I always seem to get the first question on these things. Um, yeah, I've been working with with sound and vibration and healing for many years. My journey is one of those long, windy roads that I think a lot of us have been on when we get into this kind of industry. First, starting with my own journey, not being able to sit still in class and suffering from all kinds of anxiety and depression and all the fun stuff that we sensitive ones tune into when we come into this world. And lucky for me, I had a dad who was into personal development, so he just forced me to be in my room and do reports on Deepak Chopra, Dyer, um, all kinds of personal development people, and it just kind of drilled into my head. And then I went on my own path and found my own way for about 20 years till I got bitch slapped right back into the pocket here. And through some traumatic stuff, my mom died at a young age. And so I kind of used those techniques to come back into my own healing. And then I was introduced to a lot more sound and vibration through some indigenous cultures and things. And that's really become the tools that I use now to help other people. It's like, we go through our trauma, I think, and our struggles to, gain our medicine that we then get to share with other people. And so that's kind of been my
That's
journey.
right.
Yeah. Yeah,
That,
so I've been in Sydney for
that's
about 8 years,
right.
just working
Well,
specifically with the vibration, the sound, and doing all kinds of things up and down the coast. And now with COVID, how freaking cool is this? Now I get to do it worldwide without even leaving my backyard. So I'm pumped about this
that.
little shift here.
Well, I guess that silver lining. I suppose we've got new friends joining us here. So we've got Sophia. Um, so Sophia Vrakar, she is a coach and yoga facilitator. She is in Cronulla. We've got my mom. She's just joined us, Stella from Brazil. um,
Aha.
and I guess back to you, Matt, in terms of how much this situation has, we can look at it with a silver lining of like, well, we just basically have opened opportunities to connect with people a little bit more, I suppose.
Oh,
So I
100%.
actually was talking to one of my friends the other day, and saying that, in fact, some people who are very disconnected anyway, they seem to have disconnected completely during these times. But other people who think a lot or who love to connect, they just connected even more. So, you know, behaviors. Um, so I just wanted to talk a little bit before we can listen to Matt a little bit more. What just one question, Matt. So you just played. We started the show with the, what was that? Was it the gong or was that the?
Yeah, we're just banging on the gong a little bit, making a little noise. Yeah.
Okay, and we also have Himanshu Sharma connecting from Rishikesh. Himanshu, thank you so much for joining us, guys. Himanshu was actually my pranayama teacher. He was my pranayama teacher during my yoga teacher training in Rishikesh in 2018. And he is in India, in Rishikesh at the moment, where the lockdown is still on big time. Himanshu, do you have any like insights that you can share with us? Like, how is everything over there? And have you been keeping up with your pranayama practice, your yoga practice?
No, this entire lockdown has been like a kind of a recluse for me, and I was not involved in any kind of activities whatsoever, like cooking, eating, sleeping, and searching, frisking different things over internet and also on my laptop. And recently I got a few offers to teach in online TTC. So one of the offers I found interesting and I signed up for it. So I'm teaching one online teacher training course. And I teach now. Earlier I used to teach pranayama and hatha yoga, but now I teach more of yoga anatomy and physiology. And I teach in different schools. So I believe like these things are like more, we are rooted in the physical body and physical self. So we have to understand that first, and then we can build our journey of yoga into more of those subliminal elements. So going from like gross body to subtle elements. Yeah.
And how do you see, from a physiology perspective, Himanshu, how do you see, you know, when I was in India, I actually went to some places where, you know, sound healing is practiced. And even at the school, we had the, you know, some, you know, mantra chanting, and we were, you know, chanting the specific mantras for specific chakras. What are the benefits of sound healing from a yoga perspective, from the yoga philosophy perspective? On a physical level.
Your auditory, on a physiological level, I'm talking about that. Like this sound actually works on different electrical waves of our body, of our brain. And one thing about like, not just about the sound, it's also about like certain other activities, even singing, talking, all these words, they make impressions in your subtle psyche. You don't hear them properly, but still they go and they change so much inside of you. It's not just like using a bowl. I'm not saying like bowl is something you should not use, but even your voice can create wonders in terms of like the words that you give to somebody, the soul you put into your words. And as Matt has been doing, he's not just striking the bowl, he's striking your heart with that bowl. So he also is into a time of timelessness. He is also into a space where there's no space. So when he gives you something like that, he has to be there all in. He is also already into meditation. When he provides you a kind of meditation space, he's creating meditation inside of him. It's just like preparing a chapati in India. How you make it, it is a process. So he creates that process, and the outcome is so beautiful. It's so satiating to the soul when you listen to somebody like what he was doing, that he was just not playing something. He was just moving his hands into air and then creating those ripples into your heart, into your brains. So when we talk about stress, and when we talk about sound can generate stress, and it can also remove or take your stress out of. And what is the perceiver of stress? Anybody? Inside of the brain, what is the perceiver of stress? What perceives stress? I'm a teacher, so I will be asking you many questions. Sorry. Yes. So where holds, what is that register or whatever that notice, acknowledge stress inside of the brain? What is that part? What is that structure? Have you heard about limbic system?
Yes.
Yeah, that register memory, emotion, and stimulation. So what Matt is doing, he's trying to stimulate your senses through that and trying to create a memory which is devoid of fear, which is devoid of anxiety, which is devoid of all those restlessness that we have set inside of us. So he's giving you a bath and he's cleansing you, he's purifying you. And more to it, if he does this with yin yoga, he will do so many things. He can create wonders to your health because
Yeah.
he will be generating so many different pumps in the body, postural pumps he will be creating inside of your body, and that's going to do manifold benefits along with the sound and the effect of postures. So when he can collaborate, if he collaborates yin yoga with or hatha yoga with his sound healing system, he will do wonder. No
Yeah.
worries, he still does wonder with his art, with his craft, but he will do much more. He can do much more with it. He can explore a different beautiful dimension for himself if he starts, and for his clients and for his students, for his people, for relatives, acquaintances, for friends. So I believe, like, if he or we can modulate our senses and we can stimulate our senses in a different manner, we can remove all that anxiety that which is creeping in, which is simmering in, which is bottling up inside of
Yeah.
us. I
Martha,
prefer, like, along with that, I would,
um,
sorry.
sorry, Himanshu, I was just gonna say,
Yes.
I wanted to link. Thank you so much for this. I wanted to link what you're saying with my friend's point of view, Marta. So Marta, she is a Brazilian psychologist. She's been living in Perth for most of what was that, for the past decade probably, and she's been living in India recently for the past almost 2 years, I would say, 1 year and a bit, studying what are you studying there? Are you studying Buddhist philosophy, or it's you're trying to actually make a link between psychology and the philosophies that you're learning there? Is that correct, Martha?
Yes, so I finished my psychology degree in 2004 in Brazil. Then I came to Australia in 2005. I studied business, then I worked in HR for a little while. Then I resumed my counseling career. I was working with refugees for a few years. And then I realized that Western psychology just didn't give me enough tools to work with clients. Not just to work with clients, but even with myself. I didn't have enough tools for my own self-development. So then I started trying different methods. I started with meditation, with yoga, with all of that. And then in April 2017, I resigned from my job, and then I started my journey. So first I went to Nepal, then I went to India, and then in India I went to Dharamshala. Dharamshala is very close to Rishikesh, actually. It's in the Himalayas, the foothills of the Himalayas. And once I was there, I just met my teacher, and then I've been there ever since 2017.
And Martha, in terms of what Himanshu was talking about, like this whole conception of this whole concept of stress, how have you been seeing, from what you've been learning more recently, what is stress? What's your new definition of stress? What have you learned to be the new definition of it? Mixing all
I don't have a new I don't have a new definition of stress. So in India, I've been studying mainly Buddhist psychology and science of the mind. And I think it's quite interesting. I think there's a very crucial difference in how Western neuroscience and psychology and Buddhist science and how they explain the mind. So I think this is a main difference. Okay, so Himanshu, he was talking about if we tap into our senses, how we can decrease our stress. So, but that means working with our sense consciousness, like with one of our sense consciousness, right? The ear sense consciousness, which is more linked to our body. Okay, so so that's the difference here. I don't know if I'll be able to explain this, but I'll do my best. So for Western neuroscience and psychology, how do they explain the mind? The mind is something that is either the brain or the functions of the brain, okay? So it's something that is physical, it's matter, right? But for Buddhist psychology and science, when they explain mind, mind is not physical. Mind is a separate entity. It's something that is non-physical, and it's something that is defined as being clear and knowing. Okay, there's a great difference there already. Okay, so then when we study the mind, just very briefly, it's explained 6 types of consciousnesses. Okay, so of course we have the 5 consciousnesses linked to our senses. We all have experiences. So the eye, the ear, the nose, the tongue, and the body consciousnesses, right? So every time we encounter some kind of a stimulus, we have some kind of experience, for instance, with sound.
Yeah.
And with taste and so on. But also in Buddhist science, they talk about, and it sounds a little bit like a Hollywood movie, you know, when they talk about the 6 consciousnesses, right? There was a movie called The Sixth Sense, right? So they also posit a mind which is not linked to our 5 sense consciousnesses, okay? So yeah, that's just very briefly. So of course, work, for instance, with sound is very important. Like we can definitely decrease our stress, but however, this is still one of the 5 sense consciousnesses. In Buddhist science, they posit a mind which is a different mind, is a more subtle mind, which is not linked to our senses.
And you're loving all of it. That I know. I've been having conversations with Marta. We have these conversations in private all the time, and I always say to her, I say, you know what? I think we should just go live on our conversations, because I think other people would probably want to talk about this too. James, do you have been working you know, for the past probably 2.5 years. You've had this very beautiful experience of being close to these contemporary thinkers like Tony Robbins, for example, right? When you were working with events here in Australia, specific events that will tap into this successful mindset and all of it. So how do you see, having been close to all of these people, like, and also through your own journey of development, how do you see what Marta's saying, and how can you connect that with your frequency work? Because I would love to hear more about your frequency work.
Yeah, well, great question. And loving hearing what you had to share, Himanshu and Martha, and I mean, even listening, Matt, to like, Himanshu, what you were just sharing about how he's not just playing the instrument, like he is the instrument, like he's just present, he's with it. That's a big part of, you know, some of, you know, I mean, not my teachings, but the teachings that I've kind of tapped into. And I mentioned earlier, previous to this call, I just mentioned to the guys that I'd recently resigned from Success Resources and promoting these beings. And the reason is, and there's no how do you put it? They're doing phenomenal things.
Yeah.
Doing absolute incredible things. However, there is a big missing component to it, and it's the non-physical. It's the frequency, it's the timelessness that you were sharing. It's that, you know, that 99% of us that isn't physical matter. And, you know, some of you might call it your spirit. I like to call it, you know, your essence or whatever it might be. And a big part of the frequency work that I've learned, and anyone can do it, it's not like I'm not special, you know, the big teaching of it is presence. You know, it's like, okay, let's hear, let's listen. Like, where's the wall in relation to my spine? So sitting in meditation. And so that whole stress question for me, listening to that, I'm like, oh, this is amazing. It's great. It's simply a factor of, I mean, for me, we're just out of time. You know, our spirit body or our essence isn't calibrated to where our physical body is. So it's a little bit out of time. It's a little bit out of sync.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're able to use, and this is through the work that I support my clients in and myself, and I've just been blown away by it, is that simple essence of presence. And you can find presence in yoga, in sound healing, in writing, sitting down. And it's, yeah, it's super cool. It's very cool and very, I mean, I've been in the space for 6 years, seeing, and then for my own journey, and 2.5 years, you know, selling Tony's programs, and, you know, I've seen a lot, and
Mm-hmm.
this work for myself is the most, it all comes down to presence. And that's like the fastest route to coming back to ourselves, like remembering that we are brilliant. We all are brilliant. It's just these filters that we have. We need to get rid of.
Right. Sophia, do you relate to this, Sophia, that James just said? James is also based in Sydney, by the way, Sophia. Sophia's in Cronulla. Where are you based, James?
I'm in Zetland, so near Alexandria on the
M1.
M1. Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of podcast episodes, and a lot of the meditation that I teach with my students, either it's part of a yoga or a class of its own, we talk about being able to identify what the saboteurs are to presence, which is when we're in a ruminating way of thinking, which is attachment or aversion to something, being able to understand when we're in that, to be able to take that out and then find presence. But just being geared through that reptilian brain to, you know, be attached or to be in aversion, to feel like we're not safe. And it's about, you know, literally being able to peel the onion and layers back, be able to find that quiet space. And I call it the sacred pause, when we're just still, there's nothing more there. No matter where we're at in our day or what's happening in our environment, we're not our environment. Down the thoughts that are blocking them from feeling that, and then being able to ground into the breath, and then from that breath being able to sink into that feeling and then build those new pathways to make that rather than, you know, the story, the narrative, the dialogue. Yeah, so totally agree. Yeah, everything. I think the sound's a beautiful way for some people that find it hard to analyze their mind and be self-actualized. It happens on a vibrational level, and that's beautiful. And Kahuna, you know, things like body work, that do it as well. And I had that last night for 3 hours with a beautiful lady, and that was just so beautiful, just to feel her breath, my breath, and to clear out a lot of stuff. So it happens on very different planes. So another one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The presence of the essence of God, the divine love, whatever you want to call it, it's the same.
The feeling of oneness, I believe. Yeah, this is the whole idea of, I suppose, I mean, going back to the actual meaning of the word. I'm just getting some feedback here. What is this? That's some noise. What's going on here? Okay, sorry guys. I don't know what was going on here. Anyway, we're just going to talk about the word yoga means actually union. And I suppose this is one of the things that we were talking about in a way or another, right? So
I think it's Victor. I think it's your
Victor. Let me mute. Yeah, possibly. Jesus, I can't actually mute them. Can you mute yourself, papai? Por favor. Pode colocar no mudo, pai. Sorry, I might just have to remove my dad. Oh, oops. Sorry, guys. That was just a little, yeah, a little interference. Okay. Very unstable. Very unstable internet connection here.
I think potentially it could be Sophia as well now. So if you don't have headphones on,
Maybe.
sometimes the loudspeaker will reverberate. Yeah, could be.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, guys. Let's try and this is always what happens, you know. Little bit of this, little bit of that. So okay, back to our oneness. I was talking about connectivity, and we're so connected that the connection actually dropped for 2 seconds. Anyway, I just wanted to see if anybody has any questions, maybe to Matt. Actually, I can see that Roderick has joined. Hi, Roderick. Roderick is a jazz musician based in Sydney. Leo also joined from Brazil. He's a good friend of mine. And Ellie is joining from the Central Coast. She is my adorable mentor in the yoga teachings as well. She's also the one who recommended the yoga school I did my teacher training in Rishikesh. Does anyone have any questions for Matt before he perhaps can show us a little bit more about his sound journey work? Ta-da! I'll ask Matt a question then. Oh, Ellie has a question. Does she have a question? No. Okay. So I'll just ask Matt a question. Matt, my ping Matt. Where is Matt?
Right here.
You guys there? Ooh,
Where are you?
Frozen. Can you guys hear me okay, or is the internet letting us down?
No, we can hear you. Thumbs up.
Good. That's really good. So Matt, I think for someone who has never actually tried anything like sound healing, what would you say to them? Be nice.
Oh, you caught me, didn't you?
I would just say, oh, you're
you
so
saw the
silly,
gears
you don't know
turn
what
and you
you're
heard the words
missing.
already come out of my mouth, didn't you? You psychic. Yeah, no, I was gonna say that they're bullshitting themselves because they're working with sound. They're healing with sound. That's just the essence of consciousness. It's vibration. It's always sound. And I think that what's happened is our Western society adheres to this idea of music and sound as entertainment or performance, and that's where we've kind of lost our way in that realm and lost the capacity to embrace the healing power of sound, which is actually our birthright, each individual's birthright. If you're conscious, you're working with sound and vibration, and this is what the ancient traditions have all pointed back to. And now science is actually catching up to this. Like, this conversation has been incredible. What everybody's mentioned, I'm just loving it because it just speaks so truly to where I think science is going and what we're starting to understand as we better understand the brain and the neurology and how things are actually working, and then the psychology is starting to catch up as well. Is that it's this ability then to be aware. And that I tend to look at there's a formula that I relate to working with sound and vibration. Is that the first component is awareness. You have awareness plus intention, and then plus the sound or the frequency, and that equals the healing or the transformation. And then oftentimes we just work with the sound or the frequency, but there's a huge component that you have to first have awareness and know what's going on and be conscious and be present with whatever thing that is around you, so that you can set a clear intentionality. So the awareness is kind of like where you are. If you don't know where you are, you can't get anywhere. And then the intentionality will be what you want to infuse, like the heart that you want to put into it. And then that then informs the vibration, the frequency, which is not just what you're hearing with your ear. Because you see with vibration, it's 40 times greater vibration than what you're hearing with your ear, and that can be extrapolated out to an infinite vibrational spectrum. That, you know, you've got sight, sound, taste, smell, feelings, thoughts, vibration, energy, spirit, and so forth and so on. And there's many different octaves of vibration, of consciousness. And so that being said, then I would say it's about an experience, and that
Yeah.
first and foremost, I always lead people into just a really simple experience of vibration and sound, and that's just taking the left hand on the chest and the right hand on the belly. And if you just put your hands there and you relax into that posture, you can start to feel there's two rhythms underneath your hands to begin with. You've got the rhythm of your breath that's breathing, hopefully in the belly if you're in a relaxed state, and then the rhythm of the heart in the chest. And that if you just sit there and hold that posture, which is ultimately an embrace of yourself, you're holding yourself. And underneath the palms of your hands, you're holding the rhythm of life that's moving through you and keeping the beat. And so from that, then we connect to our hearts, and then we go into a toning of a sound, and that really gives people an experience, especially if you're in a group, you know, where you can actually feel each other's then intentional heart song emerging through the vocal cords. Because if you think of the vocal cords are just an extension of your breath, aren't they? Because the breath, there's, if that's perceivable as life within your body, the basis of life, the prana, the chi, the energy, then the expression of that breath through the vocal cords, the lips, the tongue, and the mouth is your expression of life outside of you, or your breath outside of you. And so in that, to me, I think embodies the whole concept of sound healing, and that we are working with consciousness to co-create a reality or an experience. So
yeah,
that's the short answer.
loving it. Like you said in the beginning, how long is the program, right? Like, how long is the show? I would love for us to try and experience together a little bit of what you've been doing. But just before that, you do have an event coming up, don't you? Where you hosting, what is it called again? Is it called the
bedroom sessions?
The bedroom sessions, biohacking. What is it? Did you call
Biohacking
it?
bliss.
Biohacking bliss. I love that.
Yeah.
So what are these events all about? How many of them are you hosting, and how can people join?
Yeah, well, I do it in a format similar to this, where we get on a call like this, and I've got from this room actually. And I take people through a process that's called soul vibing, in which we work with our breath and we work with the sounds to change our biochemistry, because I feel that we're out of control in our Western world. We're always fight or flight, and we're, you know, have that stress response going on, but we don't know how to take command of that anymore. We just are always triggered and always active, and then we're like, well, why am I adrenal fatigue and you know, anxiety and depression, like all these things, because your neurology is fucked up. So it's like, okay, learn to take command of that again and build that that vagal tone within you, so that you can start to shift between the sympathetic and the parasympathetic, so the relaxed state and the stress state. And we're pretty much always stress state. And so if we can learn to navigate that back and forth, and I do that through this journey, is that we go through a 4-stage process where we do an active breathe, we do the gongs, the more upbeat sounds that are actually going to create a stress response, so that then you can learn how to move yourself into that relaxed state with more of the bowls and the expansive layered sounds and the harmonics, as well as your voice. So that's the crux of it.
Well, I would love for us to get into a journey with you. It's now 9:06. We have this call from Zoom before they drop us out until 9:30. So if we could have a few minutes of you, maybe, I don't know, 15 minutes or so, and then we can say our goodbyes afterwards and say how we feel or something. And yeah, that would be amazing. I'll sit back. I will sit back on my yoga mat.
So this is like to the minute, like it's just gonna chop out at 9:30 and game over.
From what I have experienced before, Zoom actually chops us out 1 minute after 9:30.
Oh, holy hell! Well, no pressure.
Yeah, so it's kind of like.
Let's get into this. I'll give you a demonstration. If you guys want to participate, I'll guide you through a little breathing, and then we'll go into some sounds, and we'll just condense an hour session into 10 minutes. No stress or pressure.
I would love that. And by the way, if anybody's curious, I am wearing Brazil Fit Australia yoga pants. I will post some information about it for the curious ladies. And they're very comfortable, and they're recycled from plastic bottles. So anyway, a little bit of a commercial break. It's always you, Matt.
Fantastic. You still hear me all right?
Oh, yeah.
Cool. It's probably best if you can mute yourselves, because we might be breathing and getting a bit hectic.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, except for Matt. Oh. Oh, Matt. I can't hear you.
Well, don't mute.
All right.
Okay, let's do this again. Now we're down to 6 minutes. Fantastic. All right, we're gonna give you a rhythm. I want you just to breathe with me. This is gonna stimulate your system and allow you to drop deeper into this process. So it's 2 inhales, 1 exhale, in and out of the mouth with me. In, out. In, out. In, out. In, out. In, out. Keep breathing. We're just going to do a couple more minutes of the breath. Breathe with me, allow the sounds to move. Breathe into any discomfort or any tension. We're just going to do another minute of this active breathing. Yeah, it might be a bit uncomfortable, but that's okay. Surrender into the discomfort. For in the discomfort is the wisdom. In the discomfort is the growth. down. Take a deep breath in, inhale. And hold that breath, hold it in. And exhale out, relax the body for a sec. One more deep breath in. Now exhale all the air out, all the way out. And hold it out, keep it out. Inhale. And now we breathe easy through the nose, relaxing the system. Slow, deep breaths with a bit of a hum if you want. Just let yourself go. Listen to the sounds with your heart. Feel and listen as if the secret of creation is whispering to you, for in fact it is. Listen. find yourself in that little journey, start to bring yourself back with a sense of gratitude for the opportunity to release, to open, and to listen. And be grateful, be thankful. You place your hands on your heart and just acknowledge that rhythm, that beat. And be grateful, be thankful, as well as grateful and thankful for all those that have gathered here with you, shared this journey, this experience with you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Bringing back any insight, any wisdom, any knowledge you may have tuned into or tapped into this body, into this moment, into this life with a deep breath in and out. And the exhale is the letting go, and the letting go, life can flow. It's happening right now. So it is, here we are. We'll complete that, we'll close that with the sound Om. Deep breath in. Beautiful. Maintain that sense of connection as you slowly come back, and you gradually, very gradually, let the eyes start to open again.
Amazing. How do I do this? Unmute. I just want to unmute everybody.
Just a quickie.
Thank you so much,
Nothing
Matt.
like a quickie on a Friday night.
Amazing. Amazing work. Can you guys imagine doing this like an hour of this journey? I've been there. I've been there a couple of times, and I've experienced it, and it's amazing. I've gone there with friends, and highly recommend it if you are. Guess what? Good thing is, even if you're not in Sydney, you can actually go onto the Facebook page. I'll post the link in the comments later, and you can still connect on Zoom and have this experience from your home. This is really beautiful. So thank you so much. Martha, did you want to say anything? You have been isolated, so we're visiting you. We're visiting you, girl.
Yeah, but for me, this is not much from my normal routine. So, you know.
Because you were in an ashram.
There is one difference. I don't need to cook, which I love it.
That's good. That's good. And my mom, I just wanted to say a little hello. There's my mom, Estella. Meet the crew, Mom. You should come over here when the borders are open again, and come for a visit. Experience the sound journey. My mom is a musician herself. She is a teacher. She's a piano teacher, and she teaches English as a foreign language as well. So I've learned the piano from her, and I've also learned English from her. And then I moved countries, and I joke with her, you see, you taught me English, you gave me wings, and then I became Australian. Oh God. Anyway, guys, this has been very beautiful. Where is Roderick? How are you, Roderick? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Roderick, you there? I can see you.
Oh, that's good. I can't see.
Roderick White. Oh, hello.
Hi.
Hi. So Roderick White, he is a jazz piano player. He's a music composer and arranger, and he performs at different venues here in Sydney, Foundry 616. He's been here down in Manly for the Manly Jazz Festival, and he's participated in a few cheeky tunes, especially in the beginning. And he shared some tunes with us. He shared his his sounds with us as well. How did you like the sound healing, Roderick? Have you ever done this before?
Yeah. When I speak to students who are nervous or a little unsettled, slow, deep breathing. So I've sort of known that from singing teachers, just to calm everything down. But also interesting hearing Matt ending with the gratitude, being grateful. And I found this amazing website. It's called gratitude.org. I'll send you the link. And it's a Dominican monk who's explored Eastern religions. And it's all about the benefits of gratitude. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which is, and then I'll just quote, I mean, it's not necessarily this teacher's quote, but it's something that was said to me a few times during some of the yoga classes that I've attended, that gratitude dissolves complaint. Mm-hmm. And I thought about it. I was like, yeah, how is that so really? Gratitude dissolves complaint. Yeah, and it's true. Like once you're, when you look at what's going right, you stop looking at what's going wrong.
Yeah.
A little bit more. And then by doing that, you automatically expand into this going right zone, or
it's like a channel on a TV. You're changing the dial and then you're becoming expansive, because anything that's less than gratitude contracts the energy field. So if you look at heart math and all the science now where they're measuring the heart resonance field and how that expands, exponentially when we're around each other, practicing gratitude and in prayer. Yeah, so that's exactly that. It does dissolve anything on that lower level on the scale of consciousness. It dissolves it.
And the like Matt was saying as well, when you're experiencing the sound together, the idea of tuning, like when you tune. I love when I used to go to music, like to orchestras, to watch orchestras with mom and ballet and things like that, when I was a kid, because she used to take us as an experience. When we were learning music, it's like, oh, you need to learn to be there and sit at the concert and be well behaved and all of it. Mom, she used to point out to us that moment that the orchestra goes and does the tuning, so everybody goes, there's that moment that every instrument is playing that same note, and there is this, it's like, the music literally fills the room, and everybody is in tune, like. And so, like Matt was saying, as a great reminder, it's like the breathing and the heart, it's the tuning in and the awareness of your body, and you're tuning in with yourself. And then, like, back to Himanshu in the beginning of the conversation, when he mentioned that, we're all connected, and Sophia mentioned the same. It's how beautiful if we would just pretend the whole world is an orchestra and we could just tune. Anyway,
it already
little
is.
By little.
It already
little
is.
by little.
Little by little. Yes. One question for you, Matt. Do you channel that? Are you channeling when you do that from a higher divine source? Yeah. Well, some of those sounds are just so earthly. They're so angelic. Like they just. I was just wondering, are you sourcing that from a divine channel? Someone that or a presence.
That's a whole nother hour conversation.
All right,
I think we're all channeling to an extent, and that word's got a bad rap. That word channeling. So, it's an inspiration. It's a love that's wanting to move through.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I think it's been an amazing experience. I myself, I'm always tuned into this really fast-paced vibe. So it's really good to connect with you and to be able to connect with this other side of me, which is a little bit more chilled. And once again, everybody watching, you can check out Almost Sound Journeys. I'll post the link on the comments if you're interested in actually having the full experience of his sound of Matt almost sound journey, sound healing. There's a lot more to it other than just what you've seen. This is just a little, little taster, so you can experience a little bit of this journey. Thank you, Martha. Thank you, Himanshu, for connecting from Rishikesh, and Sophia again, Mom, and
Thanks for having me.
and Leo, Brazil Fit. My yoga pose. And I will see you guys very soon in person as well. So thank you.
Thanks, Claudia. Namaste.
Namaste,
Bye, everyone.
guys.
See ya. Bye.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Ciao.
Bye.